Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Villains on the Rebirth server. We are with our level 44 Mastermind Nightmare Lass, who has almost 18 million XP earned, about 1.5 million to go to get to level 45 on our next enhancement slots. And we're on a story arc for Mage Killer Zukara, who says, we now know that where Mage Sinistris will appear. You have only to take the Soul Trap and vanquish him once and for all. Do it, Nightmare Lass, and you will have your rewards. So this seems like it might be the last. Is this Soul Trap here? Yeah, this seems like it might be the last mission. We're probably going to be fighting an elite boss. I guess I'll try to do him at +1, and if I can't, I'll switch to +0. We'll see what happens. I don't know how powerful he's going to be. Is it dumb going in here at +1? You know what I think it is. Guys, I'm going to pause it here. I'm going to switch it to +0 since he's probably an elite boss. And I'll bring you back when we're ready to go back in at +0. Alright, we're back. Oh, whoa, got a little bit of a weird glitch there, but I think we're okay. Alright, we're back, and we have switched to +0 up here. I don't like doing that. I feel like the whole rest of the thing is going to be boring as anything, but we know from experience that some of these elite bosses just cannot be beaten at +1, because in a +1 mission they could be as high as +2, and our minions just get shredded. And I don't have any ability to AoE protect them. Even this leadership, it only adds like 2% defense, which is not enough to really do anything significant. When the elite boss has got a 75% or so base to hit, and all we're doing is lowering that 75 to a 72, it's not having enough effect to save our minions. And it's really the area effects that kill our guys. And the alpha and omega strikes, where the villains put out a huge early AoE, and then they'll do another one toward the end, and sometimes one in the middle, and at least one of those times, and probably two of those times, and maybe all three of those times, I'm going to lose every single minion. So what generally happens is I get all the minions but maybe Curly killed in the Alpha Strike, then I bring them back, and then I get them all killed in the, what we call it, the Mew Strike that's in the middle, and get them all killed, and then I can't bring them back for the in time for the Omega Strike, right? Because they've already been summoned once, right? And we know that, for instance, Curly's summon takes over a minute to come back, and those strikes are going to happen in less than 1 minute, and then 1 minute, and then 1 minute, you see. And so I think that realistically it's just really hard to keep these guys alive unless you have team inspirations. It's really hard to keep all these guys alive to fight elite bosses at +1 or +2. Now, if the boss doesn't have a mega AoE that the minions have no defense against and no resistance to, it's possible to fight them at +1 or +2. But we're not going to know until we actually attack these guys whether the minions have any resistance or whether they're going to just get one-shotted. And if they get one-shotted now, after going through this big long map, it's too late. Now I got to do it over again. As much as I don't like fighting white cons, I like repeating missions on white after having gone through the whole thing as yellow even less. So so at this point, because this appears to be the final mission, I'm willing to just do this part at +0 to +1. Or should we call it +0.5, which is what this really is, right? Half the encounters are +0, half are +1. I'd rather do this at +0.5 than at +1.5. Just because I don't want to have to do it again. Right? I mean, if it turns out that we cannot beat the elite boss of Sinestris at +1, right? Having done this whole mission at +1, I'm going to have to come through and do it all over again at +0 anyway. So I may as well just do it at +0 and get it over with. So I apologize if it's a little boring until we get to the elite boss. There's really nothing we can do about it. It's a flaw in the game design. And wasn't an issue with my Scrapper and my Stalker, and probably wouldn't have been with my Tanker. It certainly wasn't until the 20s, but I don't think I had bumped her up to +1 yet. But it has been a problem with this character, who just, you know, she can do +2 lieutenants and stuff all day in regular bosses, but the +2 EBs are just too much. So let's look for Sinestris. I'm going to leave my minions down here and see if he's up. Let's go invisible. Since this is an elite boss, I really don't feel like aggroing him by accident. Doesn't seem to be in here. I'm not going to waste... One thing, I'm not going to waste my time fighting a bunch of weak enemies just because they're there. We're going to try to find Sinestris, and this is another thing I actually don't like about having to set the mission down to +0, because it's too easy and boring. I want to just run through to the end and get the boss so that I can go back to +1. Again, you know, this is an argument I had with Statesman many times. I feel like this is a major flaw, because I shouldn't be having to switch, like basically wanting to switch the thing down to +0 just to fight one guy, and the rest of them all need to be +1. Now this is the prison level. He might be in here, but it's unusual. I have fought the Envoy of Shadows in here for that story arc. But when I did that, the Envoy wasn't the main target of the mission. It was like a bonus goal, a stretch goal, as it were. So we'll kill all the guys right here at the door, and then we will... I'll leave the minions here, and we'll look around and see if we can... Wow, how many spawns were there here? 3? We'll look around and see if we can find the boss. If he's not here, we'll leave. Right? This doesn't seem to say defeat his cop and defeat all. It just says to defeat him. Now, that generally does mean you've got to defeat everybody around him in the same quote-unquote room. So if he was in here, we would absolutely have to defeat all these guys. But I don't see him. Right, these are just behemoths and stuff. We don't really care about them. So we're going to go back to stealth. We're going to say follow me. And we're going to go down the other hallway. Oh, is that him? Let's go. Oh, no. What are you doing? What are you doing? No. Don't get up there. Stop that. You guys are idiots. Try not to aggro. Disciple of Sinestris, so it's not him. Right, so that's what we want to check. We don't want to waste our buffs and debuffs and everything on a simple boss. I will go ahead and crank this because I have some break freeze. And we're going to take the Air Thorncaster and TP him here. An orange boss should not need us to use any buffs. Now he is in a damage shield area, but my minions will be alright. Yeah, Larry's going to take a little bit of damage, and so is Curly, because they're standing right on the edge of it, but they're alright. What? What happened? It's just a disciple? We didn't fight the actual guy? And we got reward merit, so that's the end of the story arc. Well, if I knew it was just a boss, I wouldn't have even bothered to lower the. Now they do an ambush when I've got the mission complete button. I wouldn't have even bothered to lower the mission difficulty if I'd known it was just a boss. Goodness sakes, that was sort of lame. She says, "Well done, my friend. Sinestris and I have been sparring for years now. His soul is mine." Like what? Was that guy holding his soul? There's nothing in here. Oh, here's the soul trap. Designed for the soul trap. Small modification sent us to test that it worked as intended, wiping out the circle mages with deadly speed. You have returned the trap to Zakara, but held on to the designs. Who knows when they might come in handy. It doesn't really say that we actually captured Sinestris. We only captured his disciple. That's very strange and unsatisfying, guys. Let's see what she has to say. Are we done with her now? No, she still has missions. Alright, so we'll continue working for her. You did well seeking out Sinestris and trapping his spirit for me. No, we trapped his disciple. Now there's another target, a circle mage known as Penartes. Unfortunately, I know his location. I need you to do away with him. Does this put us on another story arc? It does. Alright, so now we're going to defeat Penartes. I feel like these story arcs, I like that they each give you a few mini arcs, right, that just do 3 or 4 missions, but I don't like that the story doesn't make any sense or is really cursory. I don't know. I'm not super enamored of these high-end villain missions. I feel like the lower level ones were better. It's almost like when they were writing these, they just got tired and just let's just do some quickies just to let people level, which is a shame because I know they can do better than this. We're starting to get to the point now where we're high enough level in this zone that you don't have to worry about whatever you come across, which is good. These are all blues, a couple of yellows, right? They can't just like one-shot me the way that they could when they were purple to me. Right, the artillery guns that like to shoot at you, well, they're green cons to me now, so they can't actually do anything to me. When they were orange and red cons to me, they were pretty painful. All right, let me check the sound here. Is everything still working? It looks like it is. Okay. Let's summon our guys. Oh, I do want to bring something up. This is a D&D thing having to do with my group. We had our last session on Saturday, and they were talking about where they want to go next. They came back to their base town, which is the town of Nemausus in southern France. That's what the Romans called it. You can look it up if you want to know details about it. Oh, darn it. I didn't switch this to +1. I'll do that when I come out. And so they went... So they're back in town. They've got clues now in 2 temples about what the bad guys are up to. And they've got a map to 14 other temples, and they want to explore those temples. Now, some of those are in towns that have been ruined and destroyed, and some of those are in towns that are fine, like Rome. And they were talking about where to go next. And I was sort of prepping for them to go to one of the ruins, because one of the guys said he thought that might be a good idea. But as they discussed it that night, toward the end of the night, they were talking about maybe going to several towns, and one of the things they were talking about was going to Ostia, which is the port of Rome, and on the way there, stopping off at the Grey Elven city that's essentially on Sardinia. It's a city called Turris. It's obviously not a real city. It's a port that's roughly in a place where there is a real city, or was a real city in the Roman Empire. I don't remember the name of it. And so I started thinking about, okay, it's an elven city. The Grey Elves live on this island. They joined the Roman Republic a long time ago, so they're fully part of the Roman Empire. So it's a Romanized elven city. So okay, it'll have things like a forum and an amphitheater and stuff, which is Roman. There'll be lots of trees, of course, and elven wooden structures, which is unusual because Romans like to build with, whenever possible, brick and concrete because they don't like fire and buildings burning down. Because there was a terrible fire in Rome, I don't know, like 100 or 200 BC or something. It burned a lot of buildings down, and they started banning wooden construction because they didn't want, fires to catch from house to house to house like that anymore. And so they started building with concrete, they started building with marble, they started building with brick and stone. But the elves still build with wood because, they're elves. And so I was thinking, okay, they got to get into the temple of Diana and get the next clue. Now, in Roman culture, nobody but the priests went into the temple, so they can't just like walk in the way you can walk into a church or a temple or a synagogue or whatever today. They can't just walk in, right? You have to be and you're not just a member of the church. You have to be a priest, or you can't go in there. When they conducted rituals and sacrifices, they did them on like the front portico or on the steps of the temple when they needed to be witnessed by the public. They did not let people into the temple, and the reason was that they had a lot of valuables in the temple that people had made as votive offerings, as sacrificial offerings to the gods. And, if anybody could just walk in there, they could be stolen, right? And also it was just seen as you're not supposed to be able to go in there unless you're like an acolyte of the god. And so they can't just brazenly walk into the temple of Diana and start looking at this statue. Additionally, all of the head priests, the pontifices, plural of pontifex, all of the pontifices are under strict instructions from their Pontifex Maximus, the head of their church. Nobody is allowed to interact with or even acknowledge the existence of this statue of this woman who's urging silence. And there's our target right there. And so they can't just walk in there. And so I thought, all right, well, my guess is they could stealth their way in. But I want this to be kind of an adventure. There's supposed to be like an adventure per temple. And I thought, how am I going to give them an adventure here? They're in a town of elves. It's not overrun or anything. It's in perfectly fine shape. And, they should be fine. They should be able to easily get in there, right? But I don't want them to easily get in there. So what can I do to make it more challenging, more interesting? So I thought about this. Are we missing a guy? Is Curly missing or something? Larry is missing? Where is he? Why is he over there? Oh my god, this game. Larry, go away. I'm not going to resummon him. We shouldn't need him. I'll cut this guy's defense down since Larry isn't here to help. And that comes back in less than a minute. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous that AI is so bad. Your Valso traps have nearly destroyed us. To stop you, we would have done anything, even summon Lilitu. You cannot stop her. She is here and thirsts for your blood. Well, okay. Good luck, Lilitu, defeating my demons. So yeah, I was trying to think, what can they do? And I thought, well, okay, maybe the temple priestess, right? Diana only has female acolytes. The temple pontifica, the female pontifex, sends them on a quest. Says, I'll let you into the temple if you do this for me. And I was trying to think, what would they do? We'll continue that after we read this message. She says, the circle has summoned Lilitu to stand against us, a powerful foe indeed. We have to deal with this nightmare lesson quickly, otherwise we may become the main course at the demon's feast. Well, I control demons. With Lilitu walking this plane, her demon hosts are bound to be more powerful. Before we proceed much farther, you must test your skills against the demons. I know you've bested them before, but this is different. You must prove you still have the might to be able to take them down. in Primeva, there is a mystical cave where dwells a demon prince named Hertu and his 3 demonic servants, Agara, Asukara, and Alicia. I had a student named Alicia once. I bet you wouldn't like knowing that her name was used for a demon. Go there and defeat these 3 demons and their minions. Well, I'm going to, I think, boost the difficulty to +1 because this is not an elite boss. I will pause it here and I'll bring you back and I'll continue the story about what I'm going to do for my D&D group when we come back. Alright, folks, we have changed up our difficulty to +1. We're going to teleport to the mission door. This will be our final mission for this episode. Look at the birds flying right around me. That is cool. Nice little touches in this game. Lots of nice little touches. Is this our mission here? Yes. Alright, in we go. And then we will summon our buddies. Yeah, so I was trying to think, okay, what would the temple priestess ask? And in part for prepping for my eventual either Savage Worlds or D&D solo adventuring, I bought, since they were only a couple bucks each, the book of random tables 1, 2, and 3 from Drive-Thru RPG. And in one of them, I think the first one, there's a list of possible quests. And I said, well, let me just look through here and see if there's anything. Well, most of it wasn't of any use, but one of them said that the statue of a god was taken from the city square 2 nights ago, and nobody saw who did it. And I'm like, ooh, well, what if the statue of Diana was taken from her temple? And I thought, well, that's going to be tough. It's like an 8-foot marble statue. It'd be pretty hard to move it. But as I thought about it, I thought about the votive offerings, and I said, well, what if her votive offerings were taken? What if somebody got into the temple and stole all of the valuable things that were left for Diana and are in her treasure chamber, right? Because these temples, the Roman temples had like a room in the back that was like all of the valuable stuff that had been left for the god, and it wasn't supposed to be accessed by anybody. The priests would put it in there, but nobody was supposed to use it because it was the gods now. Succubus. Oh, wow. Okay. And she's purple. Alright, let's go ahead and use our buffs. Since she is purple, go get her. And I'm going to have to put some Mez defense on those guys and let me come forward and debuff her. She's going to be a pain if she keeps trying to run away. Come on, guys. You got her. There we go. Alright, so these are just bosses. Succubus, huh? So I thought, okay, this makes sense. Somebody broke into the temple and stole the votive offerings, and the Pontifex is going to say, or Pontifica, the High Priestess is going to say, I'm not letting anybody into this temple because we just had a theft. But if you guys want to, and by the way, if they tell her we want to take a look at this statue that's got all the secrets, she's going to say no. Like, I wouldn't let you in anyway, even if we hadn't had a theft, because I'm under strict orders not to allow anyone anywhere near that statue. In fact, as far as we're concerned, that statue doesn't exist, which is what the cleric of Apollo in the party was told by the Pontifex of the Apollo temple when he asked about it. He said that statue, the Pontifex said, that statue does not exist. There is no statue. Do you understand? And the cleric said, yes, I do. And he then didn't tell the party about it until they found a statue like this in Lugdunum in the ruins, and then he had to come clean. And just the other night, he was led to that statue in Nemesis that he was told doesn't exist by a bird with a marking on its wings that is like his, because it's an Aarakocra, basically that indicates it's a bird of Apollo. And let's see if I can pull this guy. You know, I never did use this soul trap. We just killed them normally. The only reason I'm pulling him is because my guys are stupid enough to fall off the bridge, and I don't want them to fall off the bridge. So, this bird led the cleric into the Nemesis temple, and now he wants to look in the other temples. I think he thinks right now that they're all temples of Apollo, but they're not. This one's there is a temple of Apollo. I said, let me put one in in the Elven town, right? He's the sister of Diana. It would make sense that they would have a temple to him too. He's the brother of Diana, rather. She's his sister. And so, what are you guys doing? Are you kidding me, guys? Are you guys kidding me coming the wrong way through this thing? Oh, the AI on these things. So they came the wrong way. They came this way somehow. Unbelievable. So anyway, there's going to be a temple to Apollo. He'll be allowed in there because he's a cleric of Apollo, but there isn't going to be a statue in there. Right? And the only other temple, I guess, we'll see, is the temple to Diana. So they're going to realize, okay, we got to go in there. Right? We've got to go into the temple of Diana's. Right? But the high priestess is not going to want to let them in. So I think what she's going to say is, look, if you guys get the votive offerings back for me, I will let you on a one-time basis go into the temple. And in fact, I'll even, what I was going to have her say is something like, well, it just might be the case that when my fellow priestesses and I are, it seems like there's a boss in here. When my fellow priestesses and I are putting back the votive offerings in the treasure chamber, our backs just might be turned to that statue, and we just might not happen to see if someone happens to go near it. Right? In other words, and there she is. Okay. In other words, we'll turn a blind eye. If you do us a solid, and we'll turn a blind eye. And so, so I thought, okay, that makes sense. That's pretty cool. But then I said I want a challenge for this party that's beyond just going to get the votive offerings. The votive offerings are valuable, right? I want it to be hard for them to return it, right? I want to put something in the votive offerings that they would want to keep and see if they're going to try to keep these things. And I'm just going to send my minions in first. Go ahead, guys, because they're going to have so much trouble going through there. So this is a problem because they can't all get through because they block each other. So I said, I think I want to put something in the votive offerings that they're going to want to keep. A magic item or something that they really need, right? Or they want badly. And then I thought, okay, what could I put in there? And guys, this is really my warning to you. Don't ever email your GM with what my player emailed me, right? He went through the Dungeon Master's Guide, which he should not have done, and I actually did upbraid him for this. He went through the Dungeon Master's Guide, and he looked at all of the magic items in the Dungeon Master's Guide, and he made a list of the ones that he wants for his sorcerer. And not at all surprisingly, he decided that all the ones he wanted, oh, this is so bad, that the ones he wanted were, you just got to keep doing this until you randomly get into the right place. That all the ones he wanted are basically things that add spells and slots to his character, because he doesn't think his character has enough spells. So he wants a Ring of Spell Storing, he wants a Pearl of Power, which lets him like regenerate a spell slot once a day or something. And he's a luck-based character, he wants a Luck Stone. And so I look at it and like, and a couple of tattoos, and I don't even think I'm going to have tattoos in my campaign. So he's just going to be disappointed on that, because I don't like the way they work in 5th edition D&D. And so unless I can homebrew something that I'm happy with, there's not going to be any tattoos in my campaign. So I look at it and I'm like, oh, well, perfect. I don't know what the other guys want because they didn't look through the Dungeon Master's Guide and send me a list. But he gave me a wish list. He told me exactly what will tempt him. I'm like, this is perfect. There's going to be a luck stone. It's also called a Stone of Good Luck. I'm going to call this a Stone of Diana's Luck, aka a luck stone. And there's our last enemy to find. And then we got to defeat Hard to. I hope he's not an EB, or we might be kind of screwed on this. Because these guys have all been +2. Let's go ahead and do all the buffs but Hell on Earth, which isn't ready yet. This should be enough to defeat her. The biggest problem with these guys is really Just that they're in this narrow corridor and our minions get caught up on torches and stuff. Actually, we need to fight this behemoth first. We've got to get rid of him. And let me get her. Let's kill her defense. Get rid of that behemoth. Hurry up. Okay, now we'll kill her. Yeah, the hardest part is just the bunching up, and it looks like there's another guy over there. The hardest part is just the bunching up in the corridor that happens with these guys. Okay, so you're going to stop here, guys. Stop. Because I got to take a look at this and see who's in here. So yeah, I guess my point is, and it being invisible is pointless here, because as soon as we start taking damage, it's going to reveal us. So I'm going to try to do this without taking damage. Yep, he's an elite boss. We're screwed. And he's where there's a damage thing. Somehow I've got to pull him out. Yeah, that's going to be very painful. I'm going to have to try and pull him out. With teleport, I'll just use multiple of these. I also think we're going to have to wait for these buffs, so guys, I'm going to pause it. Right, well, I'll talk, and when I get done with what I was going to say, if we're still waiting for the recharge, I don't think we will be, I will pause it. But I do want to just finish the story. So what I wanted to say is, look, be very careful about giving your DM a wish list of magic items your character desperately wants. Because now, to tempt him, I can easily, I don't know what I would tempt the other characters with, but I can easily tempt him. Because I know, if I put a luck stone in there, he wants it. If I put a pearl of power in there, he wants it. If I put a ring of spell storing, he really wants it. And then, of course, the question is he going to return it to Diana? If he doesn't, I think it's going to become a cursed luck stone. That is, it'll be -1 to all of his saving throws instead of +1 because he stole from Diana. Why would she give him her luck and bless him if he stole from her? Or I might say you can't attune to it. It just doesn't let you attune. Well, why not? Because, you know, Diana's pissed at you. You took her stuff. Also, of course, the Pontifica is going to question it because that's going to be the thing she wants the most. She's not going to tell them it, but that's going to be the most valuable item, you know, because it's magical. She's going to want that really bad. And so she's going to want this thing because it's the stone of Diana. It's going to have Diana's symbol on it, and it's consecrated to Diana. And they used it in the temple, like maybe they would take it out and use it when they needed something positive in the temple. And so, yeah, I think that's a great temptation. So anyway, my point is, first of all, you shouldn't be making up wish lists of magic items and handing them to your DM unless he asks you, because you should let the DM put cool treasure in and surprise you. Right? If I give him a ring of spell storing, if I give him a luck stone, it's not really going to surprise him, right? Because that's what he asked for. Let the DM come up with cool ideas of magic items that aren't exactly what you would have thought of, but end up being really cool and fun to use. For instance, I gave them Goggles of the Night. Goggles of the Night allow you to see in the dark. And so his character is human. He put them on. He used them to great effect in the last adventure because it was dark in that one spot, and everybody else has dark vision, and they didn't need a torch, and he was able to see. Okay, now these guys are still staying there. I've got to grab hold of the bad guy. Oh, come on. There he is. And then I need to take a couple of these to make sure I hit. And then we're going to see if we can TP him. I don't know if we can. It's going to be very difficult. Yeah, he's probably... But he came. Alright, that's fine. As long as he comes to me... Well, he didn't come to me. That's unfortunate. Yeah, there he is. Nope, he can't come. He can't fit through the door because of this crystal. So this is going to be horrible because he can't fit through the door. And so now we had to come through the door. And I guess I'll try leadership here, but nope. No. No, we can't beat him that way. Can't beat him that way because you had to run through the door and everybody got choked up at the door. Now maybe he'll come out. I don't know. No. Alright guys, I am going to turn this back down to +0. I didn't think this was going to be an elite boss because it wasn't the guy we were looking for. I'll turn this down to +0. Fight all these guys again off screen and then bring you back when we're fighting the elite boss. I'll be back in a little bit. Alright guys, we are back. I want you to notice we're at the same room, but there's no crystal here. That was a random spawn. That was just bad luck. Because with that crystal there, the big guy couldn't get out and we couldn't pull him. He's actually in the room. He's on this side on the left. But we could pull him now because there's nothing in his way. However, we're not going to pull him yet. We're going to pull this white behemoth. And he is a red con, the elite boss. So my guess is he will not be as awful to fight. And I was just trying to get these guys out of the room. They shouldn't pull the elite boss because he is not tied to their spawn. Now there may be other stuff in there. We're going to examine it and see. Let's go invisible again. Just take a look. So there's this guy. If I can click on him, he's right there. You see him? There he is. Prince Hertu. He is +0 to us this time. I don't see anybody else in the room but him. I'm sure he's got an assistant with him. I would love to pull the assistant out, but I think we'll be okay if we go straight in because it's just him. So let's buff ourselves up. Oh, gotta turn it back to stealth. Buff ourselves up. Give my minions some defense and some accuracy to hit. And I'm going to send them into the room. Go. And then we'll attack. And let me lower his defense. There we go. Wow, he got me even through my Mez defense. So now we're +10 Mez defense. We've got to watch out for the AoE damage. Want to make sure we keep Mo, Curly, and Larry alive. The little guys we can bring back, but not our big guys as easily. I mean, we can bring them back once, but... Alright, so we got him. And that completes the mission. Right, so the whole rest of the mission we were able to do at +1, but this one we could not do at +1. And mainly, I actually probably could have done it +1, except that the crystals spawned right here in the way and blocked my minions from getting in and this guy from getting out. So, yeah, some of that's just pure luck. Alright guys, we're going to head out. Having completed that mission, and I think we will stop here. I wanted to say one other thing about these missions, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, yeah. Stupidly, it wouldn't let me abandon it. I don't know why they do that, because you can abandon any mission you want by just logging out. It automatically resets the mission. So, like, why would you... Some missions you can abandon and some you can't. It's like they don't want you to be able to abandon them, but they can't stop you because you can just disconnect. So I don't know why they don't just let you abandon all missions. I'm not sure what the reasoning was on that. But anyway, let's talk to Zakara, who says, "You are mighty indeed, Nightmare Lass." Yes. A fair match for Lilitu's demon hordes, and perhaps a fair match for their mistress herself. I suspect we will soon see how you stack up against the awesome Lilitu. That will be a battle worth seeing. I guess leaving this on +0, since that'll probably be the next mission. But that will be for another day. We're going to stop here. Until next time, guys, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Villains on the Rebirth server with Nightmare Lass.